يا فلسطين رجالك وسود وسباع، بالعز بالمجد بجروح انكتاب انكتاب.
حيوا الفلسطينيين حيوا الأحرار، الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار.
حيوا الفلسطينيين حيوا الأحرار، الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار. الله الله عليهم عبوا الساحات، والكوفي بيديهم علت رايات.
الله عليهم عطفوا الساحات، والكوفي بيديهم علت رايات.
حيهم
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 حيهم، وفلسطين الأبي أحلى دار.
حيوا الفلسطينيين حيوا الأحرار، الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار.
علي الرايب رام الله وبجبال النار، وعقال العز عقالك عزم واصرار. علي الرايب رام الله وبجبال النار، وعقال العز عقالك عزم واصرار. والطلقة الأولى في حكاية مشوار، والطلقة الأولى في حكاية مشوار. عند الحق نخلي العالي واطيها، عند الحق نخلي العالي واطيها.
علي ولونح فيها،
غني عتابة ومجالة وسامر فيها. ومرق عغازي بوس لي رامي الهان، أهلنا شامة ورجالة جبارة، والقدس العاصمة والأقصى عالم هان. شاء الله يا ربي تجمعنا بديارة، يا طير الطاير يا رايح عالديرين، تحميك عيوني وتصونك عين الله. والله يا مسافر شعلاني هالغيرين، فلسطين بلادي حلوة يا ما شاء الله. اسمعني اسمع، أرضي ورح ترجع.
اسمعني اسمع، أرضي ورح ترجع.
والفلسطيني صامد ما بيرجع.
الله الله عليهم عطفوا الساحات، والكوفي بيديهم علت رايات.
الله الله عليهم عبوا الساحات.
بيديهم علت رايات.
هيهم هيهم هيهم، وعالج بينك يا شعب مكلل بالغار.
حيوا الأحرار، الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار.
حيوا الفلسطيني حيوا الأحرار، الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار.
Hi, friends. I hope everyone's doing well. Issa has not showed up, but I think he said he's joining. He just got delayed. So, but I think we can start. There's plenty of things to share with our friends. I hope everyone's doing well and enjoying fall. If you're part of the world that is enjoying fall this season. If you're new, my name is Omar Harami, and together with Ryan, and sometimes we have other volunteers, we help in coordinating and organizing the Kumi weekly events. The purpose of these Kumi actions or Kumi meetings is to encourage a diverse, inclusive platform that contains voices of different organizations that are working to address what is happening in Palestine and Israel today, and encouraging nonviolence. And nonviolence is the theme for this week. And we originally have had Iyad Burnat, who has been leading nonviolent action from his village Bil'in since 2005. But Iyad and his family has been going through a lot in the past few months. Israeli soldiers have broken into his house multiple times, unfortunately. And 3 of his kids are actually now in jail doing administrative detention. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, 2 of his sons were had their administrative detention postponed for another 6 months. Administrative detention is when Israel or the Israeli army arrests Palestinian activists and keeps them in prison without giving them a reason, without accusation or having the right to appear in front of court. They say this is because of its high security reasons. So there are actually multiple Palestinian prisoners who are doing hunger, who are going on a hunger strike now to protest the Israeli administrative detention system. Although eventually most people force Israel to release them, yet a number of people continue to be part of this, to be victims of the administrative detention. So I would like for our friends, since we've had for people who arrived earlier, we started a conversation and I see still people who are joining. If you're willing, just write where you're joining us from, which part of the country of the world you're coming from. So thank you, Mariana, for being proud to be in Vancouver, to be the first one who's writing. So I am from Jerusalem, and Ryan is in the US currently. So Issa, if you are in the group, and I don't know, maybe if somebody is from Youth Against Settlements already in the meeting, just please write in the chat. Thank you all for writing where you're from. Wonderful. So many people from so many parts of the world. Germany, Canada, US, France. If we have somebody from the people who are joining as we speak from Youth Against Settlements, please just write in the chat. Because I don't see Issa, or if Issa, you have joined in a different name. So within the theme, until I hear back from Issa, actually, Sabil, since 2008, we've had a tradition for some of you who are aware of it. Some of you might be aware of it, some of you not. Most likely not, because we really don't promote these actions that we hold on an annual basis. So almost for every year, not exactly every year, but for the majority of the years since 2008, Sabil has been conducting nonviolent actions that would challenge Christian Zionism in Jerusalem during this period of the year. Every year, there is an organization, it's called the Christian Embassy. And the brief history of the Christian Embassy started immediately after 1967. No country in the world wanted to open its embassy in Jerusalem, because East Jerusalem was an occupied city. Jerusalem was still, there wasn't a settlement, a peace settlement, or an understanding when it comes to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, what's the status of Jerusalem. So embassies, consulates would be open either in Tel Aviv to avoid the controversial city of Jerusalem and contested city, to avoid political problems. A number of Christians, mainly Christian Zionists, have been pushing since 1967 for their countries to open their embassies in Jerusalem. They failed, and Christians decided, we're not going to wait for countries to open it. We, the Christians, will open the Christian embassy in Jerusalem, because we acknowledge the right of Israel, of Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the state of Israel. And the Jerusalem embassy's role, the Christian embassy, the Jerusalem Christian embassy, main primary role was to promote Christian Zionism and to encourage Christian support for Israel. And as many of you who have been in our sessions, maybe 95% of Zionists around the world are actually Christian. They're not Jewish or Muslims. And now there's a growing movement of Muslim Zionists. And in a way, there's a very big variety of what does it, or different explanations or expectations of what does it mean to be a Christian Zionist. And Don Wagner, Stephen Sizer, others have written extensively on this issue. What does it mean to be a Christian Zionist, and who is classified as Christian Zionist? So the Christian Embassy, to my understanding, works more like an ecumenical hub that brings all of these theologies together so that they can work together in an organized way to support Zionism and the right of the Jewish people to live in the land of the promise. The past 2 years, there hasn't been any, because of COVID, there hasn't been this Jerusalem march, which takes time during the Feast of the Tabernacles. And the Christian Embassy has been organizing annual marches, bringing Christians from all around the world to the Feast of the Tabernacles, on the Feast of the Tabernacles, to march in Jerusalem to show solidarity with the state of Israel and Zionism. And since 2008, we have been doing different activities to challenge this march or to raise awareness about Palestinian Christians, the realities on the ground. The Feast of the Tabernacles. Maybe we need to have a session that speaks more about it. But you can Google it. Jesus himself has participated in the Feast of the Tabernacles, I think once or twice in the Gospels. Or there is reference to Jesus being in Jerusalem during this feast. But apart of this, so Sabil has been organizing events. This year, they have a very provocative theme. It says the land of the promise, or the promised land. I can't remember literally. And next Thursday, actually, on October 13th, they're marching in Jerusalem, from West Jerusalem to East Jerusalem, to show solidarity under this theme. So we thought we need to do some welcoming and hospitality as Palestinian Christians. We have a theology, and we think we provide some answers and insights, and we have a treasure of good theology, and it would be wasted if we do not share it. And who is in the most need for our theology is, I think, Christian Zionists. So actually, there's a number of people who are going to be in the country. Some of them friends that some of you know. So Don Wagner will be in the country and others. So we have a number of liberation theologians or progressive theologians who are joining us. And we're doing an activity. We're still recruiting people. If you know people in Jerusalem who like to get in trouble or don't mind getting in trouble, please refer them to us. If you'd like to just get on a plane and come directly to Jerusalem, you're welcome, only if you can get a very good ticket price. But otherwise, please do keep us in your prayers as we're going to challenge our brothers and sisters in Christ in one way, who hold the theology that dispossesses us from our land and also does not include us in the kingdom of God. So some of these events that we've held have actually attracted like hundreds of thousands of views on the internet. People have shared articles, so they created multiple discussions. We know for sure at least 3 of the actions were addressed on the major events, and people spoke about them at the Christian embassy. So that's exciting in a way. And we do it in a way that is non-violent, it is fun, but it is also serious. So please do hold us in your prayers. So could you write out the name? Okay, so it's Iyad Burnat is the name of the person who's supposed to speak us, who was supposed to speak with us, and the one who and he's from Belain village, and who is joining us today. Hopefully, we have not lost hope. Is Issa Amr, and I'm gonna try to see if okay, he's calling me now. So okay, Issa, you're in the meeting. Issa, Ryan, can you unmute him? Yeah, Issa, we were. Hi, Issa.
Hi.
Yeah, it is. You're a special person, but we don't want you to be the special person to not show up at a Kumi meeting since 3 years. So you're in Hebron, yes?
I had an electricity shortcut, so I solved it, and I was hearing you talking, and I liked the ideas you were saying. So amazing, you know.
Yeah, it is. They have 15,000 people. You should send us like 2 or 3 buses from Youth Against Settlements from Hebron to join us.
Yes, for sure. We will come.
If you get permits.
No way to get permits, but something you know, very important. It's not about who's willing to be in trouble. You know, there is no change without a price. You know, I want the people to go on and stand for their passion and support it, and ready to pay the price. It's about you know, being ready to pay the price, and without paying a price, there is no change.
Yes, and even though the price is usually very it's a very heavy price, a costly price, and our people continue to pay it, unfortunately. But Issa, before we start, we have a tradition that we ask the speaker to introduce him or herself. So I have not introduced you. You're a good friend of mine. You're a person that we respect. Anybody who's involved with nonviolent resistance in Palestine knows Issa. Issa is very vocal, and he's the first to jump wherever there is problems, whether it is he challenges every system, whether it is the Israeli government, whether it is the PA, whether it's the corrupt business leadership or politicians. He's always challenging people, which makes you a target for many people to attack. But when it comes to nonviolence, I think it's Issa is the name. But Issa, we would like you to introduce yourself in your own words.
Thank you, Omar. I am very proud to be your friend, and I am very proud of what you are doing and what is Sabil doing, especially in Jerusalem and Hebron and many other cities in Palestine and outside Palestine. I think this kind of work is very important for the Palestinian struggle. And I say all the time that we, as Palestinians and our supporters and our solidarity groups and the people who have passion, they should not lose the hope. I am Issa Amro. I am 42 years old. I am from Hebron city. I am in profession electrical engineer, and I am volunteering with many Palestinian and international human rights organizations. I am the founder of a Palestinian group called Youth Against Settlements, which does direct action, media, documentation, legal work and community struggle against the Israeli occupation, mainly in Hebron. Now I am working on a big campaign in Palestine and outside Palestine. It's called, we didn't check, pick a name yet, but we are trying to really create and establish an anti-apartheid movement in Palestine and outside Palestine. I believe that the grassroots activism make a huge change, using non-violence resistance as the only methodology to end the Israeli occupation and apartheid. I was in Israeli jail many times. I was in the PA jail. I was indicted and convicted in the Israeli military court for my non-violence activism. I'm very proud of the team who work with me in Hebron and in West Bank and in Palestine and outside Palestine. And me and a friend of mine called Inat Weisman, she's an anti-Zionist, anti-occupation and apartheid Israeli activist. We established, created something called Play, it's art, how to make a revolution. So maybe we will go around with it. We'll talk to Omar how this play will go outside Palestine. It was very successfully played in Jaffa Theater 5 times with the sold out. It was sold out play, and we'll give you more information about it later. So Omar, I'm very happy to talk to you today and to your friends and the friends of Sapil and to everybody who is really willing to listen, to hear, to understand, to learn, to contribute to the Palestinian cause.
Thank you, Issa. Issa, I think it's most of our friends are well educated about Palestine and what is happening in Palestine, but it's very interesting about the campaign that you're doing on apartheid. You just came from South Africa, am I correct?
Yes, I came back from South Africa, and it was about connection and networking and having South Africa on our side. And we have many organizations from South Africa. They are joining our anti-apartheid movement now.
Just to connect with with the talk, usually with the biggest Christian Zionist groups that come and that usually come during the Feast of the Tabernacles, it used to be American groups. And still American groups are big, but we find that it's Brazil and South Africa. They're like the second biggest, or maybe now the biggest groups that are coming. Do you feel that there's a change in the stand of South Africa, or did you feel the solidarity was very strong?
In South Africa, I met many organizations, many activists. I think the solidarity is still very high with the Palestinian cause, and even they downgraded the embassy level in Israel, and that was really great. And we talked about how we fight apartheid together and how the parliament can do something. And we, in our campaign, which we will launch soon and send it to everybody, we will work with parliaments to declare Israel as an apartheid state. Many parliaments in the world to declare Israel as an apartheid state. And as apartheid state, it means a lot. And it's not Issa, Omar, or Sabil, or Youth Against Settlement, or anybody who found that Israel is an apartheid state. It's B'Tselem, the most famous Israeli human rights organization. It's Human Rights Watch, the most famous American human rights organization, and Amnesty International, which is the most famous British, EU, and they are the main 3 human rights organizations in the world. So this is why we want to focus on the coming days on fighting apartheid, exposing apartheid, and our campaigns will be apartheid campaign. Omar, I want to talk something about, I know that everybody is informed, but a lot of things on the ground now, it's really new, and there is a lot of hard concrete work from the Israeli settlers and the Israeli government on the ground, which we should update our supporters, our friends, about what is happening in Palestine these days.
And I mean, today there was like a big attack of settlers went into Ramallah, and there's so many, and in Nablus. So settler attacks are growing everywhere in the West Bank. They used to be like, we take groups to Hebron to see the worst violence from settlements. Now it's happening everywhere. But please do give us an update, Issa, on the situation, like specifically in Hebron, because many people I know who have here have served in Hebron or know Hebron very well, but also in general in the West Bank.
You know, you started with what is happening. Now the Israeli settlers movement is growing, especially after the American State Department removed the Kahanist, who are the Kahanist. Is everybody aware what is the Kahanist? It's the Israeli most radical.
Please speak out.
Yeah, the Kahanists are the most Israeli radical right-wing movement. They are the follower of Meir Kahane, Kach movement, which was declared in the 90s and the late 80s as a terrorist organization, and it was led by Meir Kahane, who was really one of the main leaders of this movement. And it was announced as a terrorist organization, but in Israel, in UK, in many other countries, and especially in the US. And recently, the State Department, the American State Department, declared them as removed them from the terrorist list. So the settlers got a huge power to organize pogroms. So organized groups, they attack Palestinian villages, Palestinian main roads, by stones, by shooting toward them. They vandalize the land. We see much more settler violence with much less international condemnation or international objection about that, or doing about anything like that. And we see less Israeli accountability. We see the Israeli soldiers near Israeli masked settlers attacking Palestinians, and today they were attacking Ramallah. So they usually do these things. But this is not what I was talking about. What I want to talk about is the surveillance systems. I don't know if anybody touched that or yet with you, Omar. The surveillance system and the technology they use now to map the Palestinians, to observe the Palestinians, and to really, violate the privacy of the Palestinians. And this is one hand. The other hand, they are now upgrading their weapons to be with automatic systems. So now even the machines, that are shooting toward Palestinians. So you will see in the military jeeps or on many checkpoints, you will find a lot of, we call it automatic guns, which is controlled by a robot, not by a human. And in Hebron recently, they installed for the first time at the most busy checkpoint, Shuhada Street checkpoint, a weapon. And Haaretz wrote about it, and many other media organizations wrote about it, that the Israeli army is using this technology. So why they use it? To scare the Palestinian, to terrify the Palestinian. And it's that they use the Palestinians as a training object and as simulation for the security companies in Israel to practice on the Palestinians. This is severe how they are using technology, and for sure there is many international technology, high-tech companies. They invest in this kind of systems. So this is what we can target in the future. How come the Israeli military is using this kind of weapons, not on borders, inside the cities and on the military jeeps, and they want to use the drones against Palestinian protesters? Imagine that the tear gas and the rubber bullet and live ammunition will be shot by a drone or by an automatic gun, who will shoot with certain programming, and the failure is what it means, technology, and what it means that we use the machine. It's about the age of robot, using robots in war, and this is what is happening on Palestinians. Despite that, there is no real need for this kind of robots. The Shuhada Street checkpoint is staffed by Israeli soldiers 24/7. Why they need a weapon which is controlled by a computer or by surveillance. It's about technology. They want to try it on the Palestinians so they can sell it. It's connected to Pegasus, the spy programs which Israel sold to many countries to spy on human rights defenders, and Israel was using it too to spy on Palestinian and international solidarity groups, you know, the Palestinian activists and the solidarity groups all over the world. And the surveillance that you have cameras, Israel now have high-tech cameras to track Palestinians wherever they go. They know me from my face. They have a program called Blue Wolf. Blue Wolf, it's used on the computers. And the most recent threat that they made an app. This app, it's called Blue Wolf on the phones, that soldiers in the checkpoint or anywhere, they will know who's Issa, who's Omar. They track us, they know where we go, you know, and they know all the information about us. And I was detained in the last 4 or 5 months, maybe 10 times, humiliated, tortured by Israeli soldiers based on that they know what is my political affiliation, because I'm an activist against the occupation. They will know, they will see my files, they see how many times I'm arrested. They will act to me according to their attitude and their ideology. So if they are right wing, they don't like that I'm a human rights defender, they make your life harder. And the military occupation, as Palestinians, we don't have any rights under the Israeli military occupation. So Israel now is using a lot of surveillance all over West Bank, you know, to track Palestinians, map Palestinians, go after Palestinians, violate the privacy of Palestinians. And something else very important, it's about simulation for, you know, the certain security and weapons companies who are producing this kind of technology to sell it over to many other countries, maybe to sell it to Russia, to sell it to India for fighting Kashmir or anywhere else. You know, this is what Israel now is doing with their businesses. It's about selling weapons and you know, military high-tech solutions, and they practice it on the Palestinians. Nobody is talking about that yet. Washington Post wrote about the Blue Wolf. You can find it, Blue Wolf, Washington Post on Google. You will find a lot about it. The surveillance and the weapons, these weapons, Haaretz wrote about it. You can Google it and you will find more information. And if you have more questions to me, I can add that. Something else very important in you, the settlers, they have their own surveillance systems as well. So the Israeli army, they have their own surveillance. It's in the military. Settlers, they have access in certain way by their, we call it private security guards, bitahon. And then the settlers are creating their own surveillance systems in West Banks, you know, to attack Palestinian villages, to escape from, you know, from Palestinian cameras. So they know where our Palestinians are gathering, what Palestinians are doing. So the settlers, they have their own surveillance to violate the privacy. So as an activist and as a human rights defender, I'm afraid about my life now. Not only me, many other Palestinian human rights defenders and even Israeli human rights defenders, they're afraid about their life because they are now an easy target for the Israeli right-wing groups and fanatic groups, and who are really extreme these days, to be attacked through this kind of surveillance and this kind of cameras and applications and high-tech solutions. And they are not shy to you know, talk about it on social media. They are very proud of it. And unfortunately, all these equipments to the Israeli settlers are funded from abroad, especially from the United States. So this kind of funding, it's about not even, you know, promoting or contributing to the occupation. It's in a way or another giving the settlers a way or another, you know, to undermine the Palestinians, to go after Palestinian human rights defenders, to violate the privacy of the Palestinians. Israel is going on with its annexation plan. So if you go from Jenin, Road 60 to Ramadin, from the south to the north, Israel is expanding the roads. They are building these days a lot of industrial zones, commercial zones in West Bank. They are building, you know, universities. They are building highways. They are building to a lot of settlements in a way or another. And there is a lot of house demolition in area C and sometimes in area B. And especially Omar knows more than me about that in East Jerusalem. So Israel didn't stop
And
And
Area A now they're going into Palestinian cities and demolishing houses.
yes, exactly. So so the annexation plan, it's going on in by Israel. So it was announced that stopped in the media, but as facts on the ground, we see a lot of we call it creating facts on the ground to annex West Bank to Israel. The Israeli civil administration now, they have a huge responsibility on the Palestinians, and they take more responsibility from the Palestinian Authority, much less authority. They want the Palestinian Authority to be only security authority without any political identity. So this is how the Palestinian Authority is moving from a political regime to a security regime, and this is what they are doing with the Palestinian Authority and forcing the Palestinian Authority. And nobody in the international community is talking about these two states. Lapid in the UN lied a lot that Israel is ready for two-state solution, which is bullshit. It's a big lie. He is ready. He says that I want everybody to come to Israel to see the equality. Me too. I say to everybody who's listening to me and listening to you, or who invite them, send them to Sabir, send them to us in Hebron to show them the real image and the real Israeli occupation and apartheid, segregation, separation in West Bank, and the siege on Gaza, and the attacks and the human rights violations in East Jerusalem. So they want the people to come. I don't want the people to believe the Israeli political leaders who are lying day and night. And unfortunately, now as Palestinians, we became an election object for the Israelis. So everybody's trying to be more aggressive on the Palestinians. Solutions, it's not part of the occupation, but complicity and making the life of the Palestinians harder, it's part of their election campaigns.
Issa, many people are already speaking that we are already in a third intifada. Do you think that it's what is happening on the ground with the continuous demonstrations and actions and general strikes? Are we in a third intifada or just reacting to the Israeli added harassments?
Unfortunately, we are in defense, not intifada. Israel is really oppressing us more and more. Israel is really attacking and targeting Palestinians. In the same hand, Palestinians in West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem, they didn't give up. We never stopped struggling against the Israeli occupation with our non-violent struggle, with our non-violence resistance. We are doing a lot of activities on the ground. And unfortunately, the media is not talking about it. The media doesn't cover it. Not only that, something new, that the social media doesn't allow us to really promote our activities and our actions. So we have censorship from Facebook, from Instagram, from Twitter, from even TikTok. I posted a video of me talking to the Israeli soldier about my right as a Palestinian. They deleted that video. Not only me, many other Palestinians. The Palestinian content on the social media is so restricted and censored. And even Facebook just published an external evaluation about targeting the Palestinian content in last year during Gaza attack and and Sheikh Jarrah attacks and the Al-Aqsa Mosque attacks from the Israeli settlers and the Israeli army. They said, yes, we found cases of unfair treatment of the Palestinian content. So we need to focus on that, on this kind of social media, because the social media, it was very important platform for us to mobilize Palestinians and to mobilize international solidarity groups and to international support. Unfortunately, the social media these days is not giving us enough space, and it became, in a way or another, very close to the mainstream media.
So on TikTok, because I know it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all kinds of social media were being harassed. But and even on like WhatsApp, like most of the apps, they're restricting us. But it's new on TikTok. You were they blocked you on TikTok.
I lost my first account a few months ago, and I had thousands of followers, around maybe 100,000 followers. I lost it completely without being able to appeal. And now I was even restricted in the last 2 weeks, 3 times by TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, mainstream media were not able to speak. Social media were not able to speak. To demonstrate or to do any form of nonviolence, we're also not able to do it. How can we be more creative, in your opinion, with the nonviolent resistance? Because all of the tools that we've traditionally had some access to, they're being taken away from us. Also, like Sabil, we just give up. You need to appeal everything. We stopped dealing with social media. We refer to events like this, Zoom, or other events in person, closed meetings, but it's not working with the social media. What should we be using? Advice for Sabil or other activists? There's many activists who are on this call now.
We use Telegram a lot to share information, and we make a lot of many Telegram groups, and we update our people on Telegram, and we have thousands of followers on Telegram. So we can use Telegram to really communicate and expose the Israeli occupation and apartheid. We use emails now. We try to really sometimes ask people to one-person communication. That we should be creative, Omar, and flexible all the time. We should not give up to social media or to the mainstream media. And Telegram now gives us the ability. Maybe they will maybe go after us to Telegram now, but we can go to different apps and different tactics to reach out to our own people and to the people who are, let me say, supporting us. But something else, we as Palestinians, we have much more restriction than our international friends. Okay.
But some people are asking, because many people are not familiar with Telegram. Telegram is similar to like WhatsApp, or you can download it from the App Store or from Android, and it gives you it's like a closed channel that there hasn't been much restrictions on Telegram. Although there are some people have been complaining, but in general, there's way less restrictions. So you should download it, and we can actually send you a channel with Issa. Can you also, like, if you have groups for youth against settlements or other groups that you're involved with, so that our friends can join also?
I want you to follow me on social media. I'm all over Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook with and TikTok. Issa Amro, ISSA Issa Amro, and then be in touch with me. I can put you in our groups that we are updating and exposing Israeli apartheid, and even updating you about our own activities. I suggest that you follow Omar as well, and follow.
I'm not active on social media, unlike Issa. I use other. But I just want to say, we'll send all of this information. If you send it, we send it to. There's a group of like very close friends of Sabil, and many of them do join us on a weekly basis. So we can send all of this information in the next email. If you send it to Ryan, who sent you an email earlier. But we're also having, a part of social media and traditional media, since with the Abraham Accords, and maybe a little bit before, we're having also restrictions in the Arab world, which were like sometimes we were able to use their media outlets. So we're not able to speak on Palestine, and unfortunately we're having problems even within the Palestinian Authority, within the Palestinian areas. How do you see the Arab world and Palestine specifically also?
Unfortunately, with Abraham Accords and with the Trump administration, who forced many Arab countries to normalize the relation with Israel, their relations, we see that, in a way or another, as Palestinians, we were sold out by a few Arab countries, but we were sold out by dictators, not by the people. The Arab world, with their, religious, all types of religious, the Christians, the Muslims, some Jews in the Arab countries, they are supporting the Palestinians without any limit. But it's about some governments, and it's dictatorship. They don't have democracies. United Arab Emirates is a dictatorship. Nobody says that it's a democracy. So in a way or another, we, the Palestinians, we try to tell our brothers and sisters, the Christians and Muslims and Jews in the Arab countries, to really put high pressure on their own governments to not normalize the relation with Israel, because it's about normalization with apartheid. It's not about Israel. It's about apartheid and occupation. We want to increase the cost of apartheid and occupation and Israeli settlements to make Israel, to force Israel to make peace. Because without making the occupation and apartheid costly for the occupiers, nothing will change. So this is what we are asking. And we ask our friends, be creative. Be creative with your day-to-day activities and actions, and make your support for the Palestinian struggle part of your daily routine. About the social media, Omar, we are restricted, but our friends in the United States are much less restricted. And even if Facebook or the social media violate their rights, they can sue them. But in West Bank, you know, we don't exist. We are stateless, and we can't really sue Facebook. So we want Facebook to know that our friends all over the world are ready to sue them legally for violating our basic human rights, which is the freedom of speech and freedom of expression, which is now violated completely by the social media platforms. Omar, you know, I want the people to be creative. I'm ready to stay in touch with them, with you, with everybody, about actions, campaigns all over the world that we can really all together agree on them. If anybody has an idea, even, you know, we as Palestinians, we see the activists all over the world, in spite of their nationality or their religion, are part of our struggle, and they have something to say. They have something to do. So we are all partners, and we can work together to make the occupation costly using only nonviolence resistance.
But Issa, as an activist, and you're asking for the international community to help us around the world. And we have another case study, which is Ukraine. There's international solidarity with Ukraine, who are trying to defend themselves against occupation, Russian occupation. How do you feel when you see the double standards of how one form of solidarity to one group of people and a different solidarity on the same basis of rights?
I have a brother who's Ukrainian, okay? And who has a family, and with his children, he lives in Ukraine. My brother, okay, my direct brother. He lives in Ukraine since 30 years. So what I say, it's not about Ukrainian. I am very happy that the international community showing solidarity with Ukraine. But why I am sad and frustrated, we, the Palestinians, we were asking the international community to show solidarity with us and act according to the principles and morals and the international law since more than 74 years to end the Israeli occupation and apartheid and to get equality and justice and freedom for the Palestinians. And unfortunately, sometimes Issa, who's calling for non-violence resistance, Omar, who's calling for non-violence resistance, is declared and treated as a terrorist. So even non-violence resistance is not allowed for Palestinians. Resistance is not allowed. We can't do anything. We can't do BDS. You know, we can't do armed resistance. We can't do non-violence resistance. So what we should do? In the other hand, Ukrainians, everybody, you know, all type of resistance is considered illegitimate, and they consider every fighter as a hero, and everybody is calling to give Ukraine weapons to fight the Russians. Okay, what about Palestine? We ask as Palestinians to implement the international law and make Israel accountability for its human rights violation. We, the Palestinians, we are not allowed by many countries, and we were punished by other few countries when we said we want to go to the International Criminal Court. Russia was dismissed from the FIFA, dismissed from the World Cup, UEFA Cup, for occupying another land. What about Israel? It's the oldest occupation. Now we have pogroms. You know what it means, pogroms? Settlers attack Palestinian unarmed civilians in Area C with guns and with violent tools, organized, planned, proud of doing it, announced in the media without any accountability and without any condemnation. This is really double standards. This is really makes me feel there is something wrong with the international community, and the international community is not in the right place, and the international community should be aware of what they are doing, because we want to show solidarity with Ukraine for sure. I show solidarity with Ukraine. I'm against dictatorship of Russia and attacking the Ukrainian land, the Ukrainian people, and my brother is there. And I want the same international community to come to me to Palestine and say the Palestinians deserve full equality, freedom and justice, and accountability to Israel for violating the international law. I want the main reference for everybody, the international law. Unfortunately, we feel that Israel is beyond the international law, and many people, because of their interest, they don't really try to make Israel accountable. But the people who are here, Omar, they are the people who are already know that, and who are in our side. It's not about our side, it's about the justice side. It's about the oppressed side. Because Gandhi says, if you are neutral, when you see human rights violations, it means you are biased with the oppressors. Unfortunately, many people in the world are biased with the oppressors. And we all should work against every oppressor on earth, not only Israel, not only PA, not only Russia, any oppression, China, any oppression, Syria, Libya, Saudi Arabia, any oppression on earth against any people, women, any other minorities, it's an oppression on all of us. And we should fight it all together without any tolerance and without being, accepting the Israeli narrative, accepting the Chinese narrative, accepting the American narrative. Blinken, the State Department secretary, the American State Department secretary, was asked, why you are against Russia invading and annexing Ukrainian land to Russia? He said it's illegal according to international law. Russia should not annex Ukrainian land, occupy Ukrainian land. And he was asked directly by the reporter, what about Golan Heights? Why the United States accepted the annexation of Israel of the Golan Heights? He answered that Golan Heights is very important for the security of Israel. Look to these double standards openly, openly. How come Golan Heights is important for the security of Israel? And, some Ukrainian land is not important to Russia. I say
it's very
land,
clear. The hypocrisy is very clear. But Issa, you're one of the people, one of the very few Palestinians who had access to very influential people around the world. On your tours, people, when they come to Hebron, they meet with you. You've met with Bernie Sanders, you've met with high officials from Europe, from different parts of the countries. So I'm sure that I know you speak to them and you tell them, what they need to hear. How do they usually respond to you?
I told to Blinken these things. I met Blinken and I said to him these things. I want the United States to stop its $3.8 billion to Israel. It's a kind of contribution to my occupation. You are part of my problem, Mr. Blinken, as an American government. Your taxpayers, they contribute to apartheid in Palestine and contribute to occupation because $3.8 billion is donated without any conditions for Israel. So I said it directly, and usually they try to stay nice and say, okay, it's not a switch. But really, Omar, the problem is not with Blinken. Blinken is a human being, and maybe he likes what are we doing. It's about the systems. So this is why we need solidarity groups. So there are no neutral country in the world related to the Israeli-Palestinian issue. The majority of the countries officially are really supporting the occupation in a way or another. So their neutrality, it doesn't exist. So we want the people who are listening to me to be creative, to sit down, plan, and do strategy estimate how to make the occupation costly for Israel and how to make supporting the occupation costly for any politician or any celebrity or any media person in their own countries. Recently, I heard the UK Prime Minister saying, I'm a Zionist and I'm a huge Zionist. What? What? You are giving our land again, Balfour Declaration, to the Israeli apartheid and occupation? UK should correct your historical mistake by giving Palestinian justice and supporting the Palestinians, not the opposite. So we want the British people who are really supporting Palestine to stand firm against their prime minister and against any politician or any celebrity who's proud of supporting the Israeli occupation and apartheid.
I mean, the UK has been one of the strongest, at least within the European countries, in Jerusalem, defending international law and speaking in favor of a two-state solution. But things are changing around the world, even in historically pro-Palestinian or pro-two-state solution countries. It's becoming a mess. Do you feel that everyone is shifting to be very pro-Zionist?
No, I see officials and certain right wings are pro-Israel and pro the Israeli occupation and apartheid. But I see a huge shift in many people, public opinion, pro-Palestine.
But
So
in Europe,
in
the right wing in Italy, in Sweden, in different countries, they're winning, Issa.
Yes, they are winning, not because of supporting Israel, Palestine, or something like that. They are winning for their internal issues. And I can say that in Europe especially, fascism is growing, okay? And right wing is growing. But in North America, for example, Brazil and other countries, we see that leftists are really moving into power. So in a way or another, we should depend on people, not on governments. This is where we should work. They are our main asset. So we should work more on the people, and one day we will have the power all together to change the reality. Now it's really dark, but we should not give up. It's the time to act, by the way, Omar, and to be active. When there is really dark, you should light a candle. During the day, if you light a candle, nobody sees your candle, but during the night your candle can make light. And this is what I want from our solidarity groups. Now it's the time to act, be active, and not to give up hope, and go on with your struggle against Israeli occupation and apartheid, and against any kind of fascism in Europe or in Africa or anywhere else on earth.
Issa, you've been also, I mean, it is for people who follow you are aware that you've been shot at by Palestinian bullets, sadly, or you've been attacked, I mean, been arrested by the Palestinian Authority. There's a growing, shrinking space pressure happening on human rights organizations, activists, even within the Palestinian Authority areas. Why do you think this is happening when Palestinians should be supporting everybody who's defending human rights in Palestine?
Unfortunately, the Israeli occupation and many other countries, they chose certain type of leadership in Palestine, and they have good relation. This is really a big deal. So Israel controls all aspects of our life. They control water, they control electricity, they control food production, they control transportation. So few Palestinians, they accepted to be subcontractor of the Israeli occupation to get some benefits from the Israeli occupation, as very important person card, businessman card, 00 permit to work in Israel. And the majority of Palestinians refuse that benefits from the Israeli occupation. And those people who became elite in the Palestinian society, they really affecting our struggle as Palestinians. But we tell people all over the world, don't listen to them, listen to our rights to get our freedom, justice, and equality, and to the people who are really paying high price to resist the Israeli occupation. I'm one of the Palestinians who's ready to pay the price, because I believe there is no change without paying the price. And I'm really exposing Israeli occupation, Israeli apartheid, and Palestinian Authority corruption and dictatorship. And I'm calling for democracy, for a new generation of Palestinians to lead the Palestinian struggle.
Thank you, Issa. It has been great being with you. We have a few minutes left. I want to ask you for closing words.
Closing words. I tell everybody who's listening to us now, don't give up hope. Be united. Be engaged with other groups. Be engaged with the Palestinians on the ground. We as Palestinian activists, we need you to protect us from the Israeli brutality and from the Israeli oppression, and to exist and to stay. Promote and post Palestinian voices. Integrate yourself with political organizations, and never, never, ever lose hope, and stay creative, and part your make fighting Israeli occupation and apartheid part of your daily routine. Any tweet makes difference. Any social media post makes difference. Any phone call to anyone makes difference. Stay strong with us. We will tell you, me and Omar and the majority of Palestinians, we will never give up. We will stay fighting the Israeli occupation using non-violence resistance until we get our full rights according to the international standards.
Thank you, Issa. It's also, Issa forgot to say, it's also fun fighting the occupation. It's not also paying a price or so on. We have a good time, no, Issa?
Yes, for sure.
Yes, many nice stories, many nice memories. It's also a way, if we don't engage in non-violence and in resistance, it means we forget that we are humans and we deserve better. We accept the way we're being treated. So there's lots of pride and honor in standing up for our rights. We have no other option. Thank you all for being with us in another Kumi week. And thank you, Issa, for being with us. Keep up the good work. Good luck with the new campaign. And we hope to receive information so that we could also join opening the eyes of the world how apartheid exists in Palestine, Israel, and how we can fight it together. Thank you all, and thank you, Issa.
Okay, all the best, man.
Take care.